Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm the young one.
You know what? You always say that, John. Are you really? Okay, well, that's fine. I'm Corey, and I'm the emotionally stable one.
Okay, I cried one time on the treadmill at the gym. One time. Calm down.
We're business coaches and experts in mindset support and strategy building, with our goal being to help your businesses scale, grow, and pivot.
When things aren't working, we don't believe in throwing it all away. Sometimes all you need is a reboot, and that's why we're here to help. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Business Reboot Podcast. We're so excited today to talk about something that is near and dear to our hearts and the people that we serve in coaching, and that is second season businesses. But what we're going to talk about today is turning your past experience into entrepreneurial gold. We're going to talk to you about how to use your knowledge and your skills and experience from maybe a previous career or from life experience too to grow a successful business for yourself because you're building a brand. You're going to create a whole new career in entrepreneurship. It's going to change your whole life. And we just want to remind you that you're not having to tear everything down or start from zero. If you're here to grow either a new arm of your business because you're elevating, or maybe you're stepping into this second season in life going, I'm ready to do this for myself and take all of my knowledge from corporate and run like the wind, this is going to be the episode that's going to help you do that.
I love that you said run like the wind. I
Run
was
like
like,
the wind.
I love that because honestly, I feel like we've been doing that for a long time and we are loving helping our clients run like the wind towards this dream and this business that they're building or this business that they're pivoting. And so we decided to do this episode because we were having a lot of conversations with clients and coaching calls and watching how they were bringing in corporate or past business experience into the thing that they're doing now. Or, like Melissa said, they're growing this new arm of their business, but they're not starting over. They're starting from where they are right now. And so, this is going to be a great episode for you if you are a second season business owner, if you're looking to exit corporate and you're like in the second season of life, I'm ready to do this thing, like Melissa said, or maybe you're still in corporate or enjoying your, current career, but you're looking to start a side hustle because you can already project forward and you're like, I'm going to be leaving soon and I need to build this off ramp for myself. And this side hustle is going to be the thing that's going to help you begin your journey to leaving. And so these are just a few things that we have done in our careers. And we really want to just kind of showcase how it has translated into our businesses that we've owned throughout the years, and also how it has translated into us helping clients and what it has looked like in their businesses as they've brought these past experiences in.
Right. Okay. So, first thing first is just a little caveat. We're going to talk a lot about ourselves in this particular episode and just the things like as examples that we have brought from our past careers into our new career now. And when we talk about this from the perspective of a side hustle, we want to remind you that the business reboot actually started as a side hustle. And not only did it start as a side hustle, but it took 3 years for that bad boy to become our full-time job. And so we know what it looks like to do the exit. Ours wasn't from corporate. Ours was exiting from individual businesses that we owned, but it takes time. It's a shift. And so all of the experiences that we have had individually, even as business owners, have merged themselves together to be able to build something brand new.
And I will say too, Melissa, what you just said reminded me of the fact that the business reboot started as a side hustle, and just because something is labeled or you're defining it as a side hustle, it doesn't mean that it's maybe not successful or bringing in
Or not as
a
important.
substantial income, right? Or it's not important, or if it's not profitable. Guys, hear us when we say that we have been doing the business reboot, like Melissa said, for 3 years. We started working together one day a week. That's how side hustly it was. Then this year in 2024, we went to 2 days a week. We gave up another day from our individual businesses to work together 2 days a week. And can I tell you that that side hustle, in giving it an extra day, literally working 2 days a week, we created a six-figure business working 2 days a week. So that side hustle wasn't small. Don't diminish when you call something a side hustle, or if somebody else calls your business it's just a side hustle. No, it doesn't always have to be small because it is
What you're
an
doing on the
extra thing that
side.
you're doing.
That's right.
Right. And then it can very quickly, as for us, develop into your full-time business.
Mhm.
And wait till we give it some more attention.
Well, and I'm still gonna be employee of the month. I still really will tell you, I will. I have a
You
sign.
gotta
I have a
you gotta
sign.
listen, you gotta check more boxes in order to be I
If
don't
I'm
know
not
what
employee
those
of the month,
boxes are,
I
but
want a raise. I'm gonna come to you with some demands. I need more money and time, is what I'm saying. Okay,
we're
so
gonna renegotiate your contract
that's
is what we're
right.
gonna do.
That's right. I'd like to see you try to do this by yourself. We would both run away and hide if we had to do it by ourselves. Okay, so these are just some things that we've done in our careers that, and just a little bit of how it's translated into our businesses. So the very first thing that we realized that we brought in, and these are just examples. When we tell you that there are a million things you're going to bring from a previous career or from a corporate experience or even another entrepreneurial experience, we're not lying. Like we could sit here and list out a dozen ways, in 2 minutes flat, but we're going to focus just on three. And we're going to then kind of give some examples from some of our own clients, and we'll use them as little case studies here to show you some other things that they're bringing into their businesses currently that are helping them thrive. So the first thing is clarity. Okay. We are both bringing clarity because you get to know what you want and what you don't want, and that's a question we talk about all the time in coaching. We ask people, and we actually did a fantastic interview today with a guest for an episode where we realized that one thing that she focuses on a lot with her clients is figuring out the why. And we were just comparing and contrasting like how similarly we do things and how differently we do things. And one of Corey and I's takes is that we end up talking about the what a lot. Like, what do you want? So if you hear us say that, if you work with us ever, you will hear us say, what do you want, a million times over. But I will just tell you that knowing what you don't want is just as important, because even people will know what they don't want long before they know what they do want. And that also becomes like part of the refining process. So for me individually, what I didn't want was a schedule that was going to make me miss more time with my family. When my daughter was 5, she started a competitive gymnastics team, which, by the way, when you become a parent, you'll eat as much crow as you possibly can. And I had it shoved down my gullet when I had a 5-year-old that I put in competitive sports, because I judged those parents so hard. I can't believe you would ever put your kid like I did it. I did it. I paid the money. I have like an Ivy League degree in a 13-year-old because we spent 9 years in a competitive sport, but in like a club level sport at 5, by the way. And but I remember going to like sign her up for all this. I looked at my calendar and I was like, gymnastics season is January to May. That includes March, April, and May. Do you know the busiest time for a wedding photographer in the South? March, April, and May is going to be the
Yeah.
busiest. And I just remember looking down at this calendar, and all I could think was my mom would have given her right arm to be able to be at all my sporting events. My mom would have loved to be able to pay to put me in things like competitive club gymnastics. She would have loved X, Y, and Z. If the opportunity had afforded itself, she would have done all of this for me. And so I'm not going to look this gift horse in the mouth. I am going to figure out what I need to do. And honestly, I laid it all at the foot of the cross and I prayed and prayed. And I said, Jesus, please give me a way to be able to make this all work. And I felt very much you're either going to poop or going to get off the pot. Are you going to start to slow descent from working in weddings to move out of it into something else? Or are you going to stay here where I'm like wrapping this up for you and you get to keep missing things that would become more and more painful? I mean, as a wedding photographer, I missed my own anniversary for years. I missed Halloween the second year that Riley was Handy Manny. I missed it because I had a wedding that day. I would miss, parties and all kinds of things. And I don't regret it at all. Being able to pour into those couples was life giving to me. And it felt like my mission and my purpose. But at that point in my life, I was like, I'm ready to be done. And so I put it out as a fleece. I was like, I've got 2 weekends in March and April that one in each month that I can shoot weddings, and that's it. Or I'm going to miss games in her gymnastics season. And I flew to New York to shoot a wedding, and I flew to Texas to shoot a wedding those 2 weekends, and that was it. And I said, I need a job that's going to allow me to be able to spend more time with my kids. And so that clarity allows me now to say, what can I compromise on and what is non-negotiable? And you've heard Corey and I tell the stories about being able to pick up our kids from school, non-negotiables. Like our businesses are built on that. And so for me, clarity looked like making sure that my schedule did not allow me or force me to miss too much of the things that were the most important to me.
Right. And for me, clarity is very similar to what Melissa was talking about. When I started my business in 2008, we were living in Hawaii at the time. And so I was full time in business. And Kevin deployed to Afghanistan. He was always back on the mainland for schools. And so it was me running the show and running my business. And I had the capacity for that. I could do it. My kids were, in school at that time. And so it worked. Well, then when we moved to the coast of North Carolina, I went back into the classroom because we didn't know when you relocate a business. Let me tell you, it is not an easy thing. We should probably do an episode on
Mhm,
that, Melissa.
mhm.
It is not an easy thing, and so I knew I needed to build a community in order to replant and regrow my business, and so it was going to take time. So I went back in the classroom, and I taught for 3.5 years while I was doing photography part time, and it quickly started to grow. And I'm sorry, but when you're a kindergarten teacher in a little tiny town, everybody knows you. You're going to see everybody you know in the Walmart and the grocery store and the hardware store and all the places. And so it quickly grew. And about at the 3 year mark, Kevin got orders to the HMX, which is the Presidential Helicopter Squadron. And we made the command decision, if you will, that the girls and I were going to stay here because by that point, Grace was in high school, the twins were in middle school, and my business was thriving and I was still teaching. And going back to clarity, we said it kind of a beta test. We do this with our clients all the time. We beta tested in life for a while for our family. Kevin moved to Virginia. He lived there, and what he would commute on the weekends that he was not with President Obama somewhere, and we kind of beta tested it for about 6 months. We were like, let's just give this a shot. Can I keep teaching, have the girls, and still run my business while you're out of state and commuting? And we did it for 6 months and we made that decision of no, I cannot continue doing this. I want to be able to be at the things that I want to be at. Like Melissa said, not missing swim meets or, tennis matches, or the twins were cheering at the time and had dance and nutcracker. I could not be mom and dad and teacher and small business owner and all the things that I was trying to do. And so knowing what I didn't want, I didn't have the capacity for that whenever we had that big life shift and our family made a huge pivot. And in the long run, it worked out. I left the classroom. My business was really at full-time capacity by then. And so I was able to jump back into that. I had already done it before, so I knew I could do it again. And I had the client roster. I had the income coming in to where I had created an exit ramp basically for myself because my photography business was a side hustle and took it full time again. And that clarity piece was key because I knew what was going to be asked of me in a family role. And I had to be able to step up to the plate and be mom and dad and show up to all the things while also being present when Kevin was home so that our family stayed together. We had watched too many families deteriorate under the pressure and the stress of being a military family. And we were not willing to let that happen. And so the clarity for me was I have to bend and shift and recreate and redesign and reboot my career, my work life. I got really good at it. But again, I think that's why I'm not scared to do things and take big leaps of faith sometimes because I've had the clarity and the experience of doing it time and time again and knowing it's always going to work out and I can always bet on me. And now with Melissa and I can always bet on us.
She can, but I'm also gonna say you might be a little bit full of shit because you still get diarrhea when you're
What?
stressed out about a decision. She's like, "I can make these decisions with
I do.
ease," but and I'm like,
I
"Well, that's
mean,
cute because that."
listen, it does not mean that a little sweat and diarrhea does not happen, but I can. I can.
Oh,
I
I love that.
can.
You can. No, she is really good about that, and she will help me breathe into a bag when I'm like, "I don't know." I just
Okay,
love
let's
I
be real
love
honest.
yeah,
Let's be real honest about the
yeah.
text that Corey gets from Melissa being like, "I think I'm on the floor in the bathroom."
I am. I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna and I tell her that, and I really do mean it. But I love that you were like, "I am poised and positioned to be." I'm like, let's be for real. We both are
Listen,
manic.
you can cry and scream and stomp your foot and have diarrhea and still
But
be a
we have clarity
successful
about that.
entrepreneur.
We have
I
clarity.
do. I got to get through them. My body has to get through the physical part of the decision making. My mind is there, but the body sometimes takes a minute to catch up.
It does, it does.
That's
Okay.
my trauma response. That's my trauma response.
I love it. That's it, that's it. Wow. Okay, so another skill that we're bringing or another characteristic, another thing that we're bringing to our new businesses, is problem solving on the fly. And I will tell you, this is something that Corey and I talked about even this morning, where we were like, "Is this a trauma response?" Maybe, it's fine. But we will tell you some experiences that we've had individually in our careers that have made us be able to problem solve on the fly. And I will say this is something that will, if we're talking about good and bad, from a negative standpoint, this makes us feel pressure that nobody else puts on us. We feel like we need the answer immediately, like that. And the truth is we don't, and our clients don't expect that, but we will feel internal pressure. Like we have to know exactly what's right now. And there are times where we have to look at each other and be like, step back, take a breath. Like, no, it's not. No, we don't. Like, we're fine. But for me, I was a wedding photographer. I mean, if the groom decides to not show up and I have to drive down the street and find him, that is problem solving on the fly. If I have a bride come to me and say, my stepdad is crazy, don't let him wear that hat down the aisle, I'm going to have to pay my assistant extra to like jump on him before he takes that hat down the aisle. Or if the mother of the groom is being a brat and is being awful and terrible, I'm going to have to gently remind her, I can make you look fat in all your pictures. I'm just kidding, not really. But there are things that we would have to do if something breaks or if something happens and somebody's not in the right place. Like we were having as wedding photographers to think on the fly and to solve the problems immediately. Like when you pay an exorbitant amount of money for a wedding photographer, I am assuring you, like, so help me Jesus, that they are earning every penny of it, because there are things that happen behind the scenes you would never know are happening. And so how that's translated into coaching and how we serve our clients is that I don't get stressed out when we have a problem that's a hiccup, that's a Mayday SOS. We literally have the ability to like put our hands on people's shoulders virtually and say, take a deep breath, calm down. Here's what we're going to do. And so that skill coming into a new business, that skill into growing this business has been invaluable.
Absolutely. Well, and you guys know I left the classroom being a kindergarten teacher, and if you have ever had a 5-year-old, imagine multiplying them by 29,
Oh,
and that's what I had. That my last year I had
I just got
29 5-year-olds.
heartburn thinking about that.
I mean, seriously. But I could command a room with a look, when you're teaching and you've got, Johnny over here fiddling with a pencil. You're like, please do not flick that into the eye of the little girl sitting next to you. And then you've got somebody over here who had an accident in the bathroom. And then you've got somebody over here who says their tummy feels bad and they might vomit. And then you're trying to do a reading assessment and the principal walks in. Oh, and your TA, you only have her part time. So she's only there for part of the day. And right then she's not in there. So it's you. Like, it was like Kevin always says, it's like juggling cotton balls in a windstorm. And I'm like, absolutely, that is the life that I live teaching. And so having to solve problems in an instant way and being able to see all aspects of what's going on and know your role in keeping the chaos managed, but also the success for these kiddos at the forefront of your mind is something that has translated super well into what Melissa and I are doing, whether it was photography or now in business and in coaching. And I'll say, when I went back to the classroom for a little bit, I was in 4th grade. And the year that I started, what they did was it was a pilot program or like a beta test. Going back, you're going to see this thread throughout our career journeys and into the business reboot time and time again. But they basically they had overfilled the classrooms, shocker. And they had 7 kids from both 4th grades that they pulled and made a new classroom for me to take over in January. So these children had been with other teachers for the first half of the year. I came in January, and these were kiddos that, for whatever reason, were not thriving in the classroom environment that they were in. And it could have been a personality conflict, it could have been a behavior situation, or it could have been like they weren't sure that they were going to cross the finish line, if you will, for their end of grade testing. And so getting those kids in and having to problem solve on the fly, they were halfway through their 4th grade year. They were already not feeling or seeing success. And having to look at these 14 sweet faces and figure out ways to connect, figure out ways to build community, figure out what does each kid need? How can I problem solve this in the middle of the school year so that I can help these kids be the most successful that they can possibly be, while also maintaining my sanity. It was such a cool year. And let me tell you that some of those kids, the problems that they had, it was just they needed some love. They needed somebody to say, I believe in you and you've got this. You are amazing. Some kids needed some more one on one time, and some kids needed some extra strategies. And so, taking from that experience and pulling that into business has been invaluable. And I can see the role that I played there and in the role that I play in what Melissa and I do now. And knowing that those, just as a disclaimer, all those, or a disclosure, all those kids passed their EOGs and went on to be very successful kiddos and super happy and lifelong learners. So I keep in touch with a couple of them. So it's really cool to have been a part of their story. But problem solving on the fly is something that we both did in big ways. Lots with a wedding day and with the classroom situation. Like, there was a lot that were hanging on our shoulders to be able to problem solve very quickly and think in a very strategic way. So that's something that we brought in.
Yeah, I love that. So the next thing is going to be your skill sets. This is like, think about a tangible that you're bringing in from your previous work experience, skill sets. So for me, it's communication, marketing skills, copywriting. Like, these are all things. I have a communications degree from the University of Georgia, which at the time that I was there, many, many moons ago,
I mean, it was a
not
long
as
time
many as
ago.
Corey, but
You know,
moons
it was
ago.
it was almost as long.
Not even close.
Uh-uh.
I'm just kidding. It's because I took 6 years to graduate college. So the years are different. It's not really. It was 5.5, but it's fine. We're fine. I will say that I went by the University of Georgia last week with the kids, and I mean, I live in the town with it, but there was this big plaque that was like the graduation gift for the class of 2006, and I was like, my name is not on here. Did they put me in the wrong one because I was late? Did I miss the boat? No, it turned out I didn't give any money because they were getting enough, so I didn't make the plaque, but it's fine. But no, so at the time that I was there, UGA had the number one communications department in the country. They had like the number one rhetoric department. And did you know that Alton Brown and also Ryan Seacrest graduated from University of Georgia's communication department? Just
Shut
throw out
up.
there.
Look at
Actually, I
you.
think Alton Brown
Look at
may
you.
have been a semester shy. I don't rightly remember, but they were the two claims to fame. But anyway, so I have that communications degree, and did a lot of like study of speeches, and did a lot of work in communications, interpersonal communication and corporate communications, and was able to translate that into how I used my business. And I will tell you, it only shifted. And it was not until Corey and I were in a situation where we had to do some problem solving on the fly that I realized my love of writing could be translated into copywriting. And it is like the wildest story, because we just happened to get in a pickle because we had some things fall apart at one of our retreats. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess I can try it. And Corey, the other day, she was like, you're one of the best copywriters I've ever met. And I was like, that's
She
so
is.
nice. You're so nice.
She is.
But I never would have known that skill could have been brought here, because I was utilizing it differently in my former businesses or even in former work that I was doing. But I was able to bring that here. So that those things that were a part of like the tangibles that I did before have been translated into working proficiently now.
Well, and I will say, successfully, if I can brag on you for a minute, like I always say, Melissa is the word magician. I mean, she can craft out copy like nobody's business, and she does it effortlessly. It's like shooting rainbows out of her fingertips on that keyboard.
I don't know
And
why I thought you were going to say your butthole. I was like,
stop.
wow.
Well, I mean, that could happen too. I'm not sure, but I mean, it is like we can be working on something, and I'm like, okay, I need you to judge this. Like, I can put initial thoughts down on paper, but then I am like, or not paper anymore. Excuse me, my old school is showing. But I can type it in a doc, and then she goes in there and like elevates it to no end. And so that I can see that in her, and making sure that she leans into that, and getting out of that lane myself. I hope, here we are, we're gonna have a therapy session right here. I hope that that empowers Melissa to know that I trust her in all things, that I see her as the expert in copywriting because she does it so brilliantly, so effortlessly, and she does it for our clients. Not only for us, but also for our clients. And so that skill set is imperative to what we are currently building. So that's my
You.
soliloquy on that. But for me, and the skill set that I feel like I've brought into this from a former career path, what is curriculum and strategy building. I can look at something and see a scope and sequence, which basically is a fancy way of saying like long-term planning and short-term planning. Because I was trained for so many years to look at the classroom, the curriculum like that. Like, as a teacher, what do we need to cover this whole fourth grade year? And then I know how to break it up into units of study or by months or by weeks. So I can take the very big picture of what has to be accomplished for a business owner, and then we can break it down. I can literally see it. It's wild. Like Melissa can shoot rainbows out of her fingertips. I can visually, what is that movie with
I mean,
Matt Damon and Robin
Goodwill Hunting.
Goodwill Hunting? Like, I can see it on a chalkboard as to how the map is built out for some programs for our clients, and literally that's what we're leaning into in this season of the business reboot. And so it comes naturally, so it's easy to bring
Corey's
that
brain
skill set
starts
in.
going tick, 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 like planning it all out. And I look at it and I'm like, I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee. Like it's literally, I'm like, okay, catch me up. Use different words because I don't know what that means. And then we get on board together. It works. Right.
It's a match made in heaven.
That's right. Okay, so let's talk about some things that sound less self-serving. Then look at us and all our skills. Like the whole point was this, not to be like, look at how great we are and what we did, but
No,
that you bring in problem-solving skills, either on the
right.
fly or looking at them and being able to study them and know what to do. You bring in your skill sets. You bring in clarity. You get to take all of these things, whether it be some of these ones that I'm going to run through a quick list before we hit our last point, is like you're going to be able to bring in all of these things into how you're running and operating your business, and they're only going to help you elevate if you utilize them to the fullest capacity. So I'm going to run through this list of some things that our clients do and talk about how you can utilize those in your own businesses.
And real quick before you do that, Melissa, I think going back to the beginning of this podcast episode is that's the beauty and the blessing and the gift of being in your second season of life, is that you have lived a
Mm-hmm.
lot of life personally and professionally. So you have all of those pieces that now you get to allow into your business, and you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience.
Right. So some of our clients' skills that they're bringing, okay, research, the ability to know exactly what they need in order to get to the next step and feel secure when they get there. They're bringing corporate training and creation of multi-million dollar campaigns. They're being able to manage people, lead teams and have big picture vision for the future, which is difficult to get.
Right. Well, we're watching our clients bring in their nurturing and hospitality skill sets, always being able to see how to care for the clients as whole people rather than just like situationally. Some of our clients are bringing in operations and organization experience. So they're being able to curate files and keep the receipts, honey, keep the receipts. So they're
They bring
bringing
the
that to their
receipts.
business. They
Mhm.
do. They bring the
That's right.
receipts.
Or maybe it's another one of our clients. She is a boss at networking. She will harness the power of a vast network and is able to use that to serve her current clients and connect them. And it's like you can't teach community building the way that it used to be taught. And she is phenomenal at that. So again, research, corporate leading, like nurturing, hospitality, operations, organization, I mean, it could just be humility. That could be what you're bringing. I mean, look, we all have to eat humble pie. Corey and I will tell you, we came to the business reboot. You couldn't embarrass us. We had been humbled as humbled can get. And so that's something that you bring to the table in your new business. Yeah.
Well, and I think too, the ability to truly see people is really key. And what we're watching happen with our clients, that they are building these powerhouse companies because they have those skill sets that they're bringing, but then also they have lived a lot of life, and so their ability to truly see people where they are and know the impact that they want to make and know how they want to do it is like chef's kiss.
Yeah. I mean, empathy is really hard to uh to learn if you haven't done it. for a really long time. Empathy is one of those things where once you have learned it and flex those muscles, you can then see every situation through the eyes of empathy. But if you're, jumping in with both feet and you've never had to use that before, it can be really difficult. And so that is our last point: is problem solving on the fly, skill sets, all the things, but the ability to truly see people. That's something that we were able to bring into our businesses because as photographers, let me just tell you, I'm looking through my camera and I'm looking for the best of you. And I'm looking for the best of you that you don't even see sometime. And whether that be, again, a wedding day or a portrait session or, a homecoming or a senior or whatever, like we're looking at you going future, past, whole person. How do we make you feel the most beautiful and the most authentic when you're seeing yourself? And we get to do that for our clients. And that is a truly valuable skill that you get to bring in to starting your business too.
When you're elevating your current business or like pivoting into something else in this second season, you may find yourself in, just remember that you're not starting over. I kind of mentioned that before. You are bringing to the table the skills and the experience with you that you have collected over your life. And that is going to be a piece of the story that you are now creating in this business or in this new offer. And also remember that what you offer is valuable. And we're here to remind you that where you came from and how you got there may be the very thing that is going to be what catapults you into this next season and leads you to massive success.
Yeah. So, just to wrap this up, we want to remind you, you don't have to do this alone. And in fact, you have us. We are cussing and laughing and fighting in parking lots sometimes, but we also have a wealth of knowledge and experience that we're bringing to the table. Also, we just crossed 2 years with this Business Reboot podcast. So, that's something that we didn't like talk about or get to celebrate much because we were too busy doing stuff. But 2 years of being able to pour into you and help you glean. And so, we know that it takes time to trust people. And we have proven to you that we're here and we're going to be here to help encourage you in your business always.
If you're interested in getting more information, you can head over to the show notes and snag the link there to hop on a call with us and let's get started so that you can get your business set up for success. Thank you again for joining us this week. Don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at Business Reboot or visit the website at thebusinessreboot.com. And we will be back next week with another episode of the Business Reboot podcast.